Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all our attendees who have literally joined from right across the world. I see people from Ireland, the UK, Germany, Belgium, Spain, the US, our friends in Canada, Australia, the Philippines, the United Arab Emirates, and Puerto Rico, also our friends over there. Many clients and new faces. You're all very welcome. And thanks for taking the time to learn a little bit about how Optimize can enable your organization work that little bit smarter when it comes to QA evaluations on your customer calls, all from within Salesforce. Barry Connellan is my name. I'm the Inside Sales Manager for the CX Performance Division within Leaptree Optimize, or within the Leaptree business, I should say. We've 30 minutes today, or hopefully maybe a little bit less than that. We'll see how we get on. I have a light agenda to go through. The recording will be shared, and certainly you can share it with anybody else in the next day or so. So we'll be delighted for those that haven't a chance to attend today to see and learn a little bit more about what we're talking about. And feel free to share questions. Use a questions box there, and I'll go through that in more detail. So I suppose over the last couple of months, Leaptree as a business has been having a lot of conversations with our clients and prospective clients regarding their deployment of Amazon Connect and indeed Service Cloud Voice. It seems to be gaining a lot of traction in the market, and those that have invested heavily in Salesforce to leverage obviously their skill sets within that environment and do more within Service Cloud. So with that, we have uncovered, or what we want to do is to uncover ways to enable our clients to work that little bit smarter when running QA evaluation on calls. It's important to note that today is very much about showcasing the art of the possible. Okay, so it's very light, and it's a walkthrough of how this may be set up in your organization and indeed how it's configured. And it's also important to note that, I suppose, from running QA evaluations on keywords that have popped up in a customer agent conversation, we will be mining the voice script, and that voice script must be brought in from, say, Amazon Connect into Salesforce, so Optimize can ultimately access that data and run QA schedules. And it's similar for, I suppose, sentiment analysis. We would see that being run by Einstein Conversation Insights. And again, once that's implemented into an organization and sits in Salesforce, Leaptree can mine that. So again, we'll go through that in a little bit more detail. So I have a light agenda. Again, what I want to do for those that are new to Service Cloud Voice and Amazon Connect, and I know there's quite a few that are just in the process of deploying it, I'm going to show you what that looks like, because many people don't understand what that looks like and maybe thinking about investing into the applications. So we want to look at how sentiment analysis and speech to text, or that calls transcript, looks like. I also then want to go into a scorecard configuration against speech to text, or that voice transcript, a scorecard configuration against sentiment analysis, how that's set up or could be set up, complete a scorecard within the voice case or the voice record, go through some live Q&A sessions, and indeed wrap it up from there. So hopefully everybody will be still awake by the time I get through everything. So there's some questions along the way. Please drop them into the box, just write whatever, and we'll pick it up at the end, and let's go from there. Very quickly, just to kind of give you an idea, very, very light kind of draft or design of how this looks. We're using Amazon Connect as an example. This could be another voice platform, provided there's speech to text, and we're bringing that data into Salesforce. So Amazon on the left, it's a telephony platform. It's the contact center side of it. We're enabling speech to text. We're bringing it into Service Cloud Voice. Omnichannel is present within Service Cloud Voice and defined within Service Cloud itself. The voice calls, the records are created, aligned with Service Cloud Voice, and the speech and text recognition are also provided by Amazon Connect. We're bringing this in, we're filtering on the voice call records, and we're filtering against the keywords that pop up, and ultimately creating a scorecard. So let me bring you into the application itself. So this is a walkthrough using an application that we use called Storylane, just to kind of bring you step by step of how this would look. And again, it's really down to the art of the possible and quite high level, as I've mentioned to you all. So what we have here, and again, I'll bring you back to this screen at a later stage, we have a scorecard creation schedule. For many of our clients, and I know there are many that are on this call, this is really Leaptree optimized. This is the QA evaluator screen, and where we would create those automated schedules. So what we're looking at here is one for voice call sentiment of less than 70, and we're linking it to the scored object, which is the voice call and all the fields and relationships related to that. And we're adding this particular scorecard, the voice call scorecard. Again, I'll come back to this in a moment, but just to kind of give you a flavor of where we're accessing this information from. So what I want to do, first of all, is to kind of give you an idea of where that voice calls and where they would sit if we've implemented, I suppose, Einstein conversational insights. So again, on the back of setting that up and defining what a sentiment analysis score might be, we've color-coded this for simplicity. Again, the low scores being in the red, the high scores being in the green, but just to kind of give you an idea of where all that information would sit. From a voice record with Service Cloud Voice, it's a great screen. It's obviously uncovering our speech to text or our voice transcript or call transcript right here on the left panel. Again, we're delving into what that call has uncovered. In the middle section, ultimately, we're capturing where sentiment analysis has been captured, anywhere where the case has been mentioned. We see these indicated here, and where the agent and indeed the customer are speaking. So very, very simple. We can pause and play all within this particular record. Ultimately, we are in the case details, so all of the information is readily available with the overall score on sentiment analysis captured here. So very, very simple for us to capture that information. And just to show you what Service Cloud Voice and Amazon Connect looks like once it's deployed at a very high level. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the scorecard configuration on speech to text. Again, a very, very light sample. So what we're doing is ultimately we're going into the scorecard types. This is a banker where we create a collection of our different types of scorecards based on the interaction. So maybe a scorecard slightly different for a voice call, an email, a web chat, a social engagement, a text message. But in this case, we're focusing on the call and what that might look like. So what we've done is we're going to click into one that we've created already, a voice call where dissatisfaction has been detected. Okay, so what we're doing is we're creating a very light scorecard. Again, there's a couple of information and details up on the left panel to define exactly what we're looking for. But to keep this light, and for those that are familiar with the application, we're just building out a number of different questions in this particular scorecard. So again, we can see the different questions, some light scoring, but again, just showing you what we're doing. We're just building a scorecard. And on the back of that, we would ultimately save the scorecard. And following that, we want to set up our automated schedules, okay? And again, this is where related to voice and dissatisfaction. So we're going to create an automated schedule called the voice call conversation dissatisfaction detected, okay? Very simply, probably too wordy, but again, from a demo perspective, we're just highlighting exactly what it is. The voice, so what we're looking at here is the voice call conversation dissatisfaction detected. We're looking at the voice call conversation scored object. So specifically where that or that voice transcript has been captured. So again, this will be different to what we're going to show when we're looking at sentiment analysis search. So this object and all the fields in relationship to this specific object. And we're attaching the scorecard that we just built. Okay. Again, on the back of that, we're now getting into what is our search criteria. So are we looking at all records without a scorecard? We're looking for 100% match. And again, in terms of the conditions, what are we looking at? So again, we're using the Salesforce filter logic to look up. So where the message contains unsatisfied, and indeed this occurs within the last 30 days, we want to see that voice record. Okay. And on the back of that, then, who are we assigning this? We can assign this to Salesforce queues very simply. Again, this is a pending scorecards queue. Or what we can do is you lean on, say, our Leaptree's optimizes round robin, and where we can select specific QAs that we want to share those voice records to run QA evaluations on. Now, we can leave this blank if we're just doing this particular search and QA evaluation as a once-off, or if we wanted to schedule it, and it's most important that we can create these auto schedules rather than making it a manual process. And we want to schedule this on a monthly basis, so the first of every month. And that will run from May 3rd until 2023, until May 3rd, 2025. So again, that's locked in. We would save that configuration anytime that scenario occurs. We will be looking at that particular voice records every single month. And if we find anything, we will be sharing it with our two QA evaluators, Susan and Martino. So that's simply how we would configure speech to text, again, or looking at the voice transcript. From a sentiment analysis perspective, again, we're just diving straight into the automated schedule. We're looking at a slightly different scored object. We're looking at the actual voice call here in this scenario. And we've created a different scorecard. It's a voice call scorecard. Again, ever so different. Similar scenario. What we're doing is we're defining that search criteria. So we're looking at an exact match. So the percentage of all records, we want 100%, meaning every single record that we find. And then it's down to the search criteria. So we're looking at sentiment, where the sentiment score is less than 70, and indeed where it has been created in the last 30 days. Very simple example that we're showing here. Again, how are we sharing this? We're sharing it with the selected QAs. It could be linked to the Salesforce queues, again, or what we can do is individually select the QAs that we want to share this information with. Again, similar scenario, we can leave this blank and do it as a once-off, or we can schedule it and automate this process. So what we're looking for here is we're going to run it every month from the 1st of every month, May the 3rd, and a little bit more of an extension to May 21st, 2025. And simply, we save that configuration, and it's that simple. So last but not least, what we want to do is look at how we would complete a scorecard within Optimize, and ultimately within the voice record as such, which is really important, and the simplicity behind that. So what we have here again is our voice record. In this top panel on the right, we have the voice transcript. This is where speech to text has occurred. Ultimately, this needs to be enabled. We need to bring this information from your Amazon Connect into Salesforce. Again, we could mirror that object, but ultimately what we want to do is to be able to see that so we can mine it and run those schedules and specific criteria against this information. What we have then again is ultimately we have the sentiment analysis. And in the sentiment analysis, we have the ability to pause and play. This is where the voice call occurs. And again, we can see who's speaking, customer and the agent. And again, where I suppose sentiment has been popped up and how we can look into it. We are in the record, we can see the case detail. And from a scorecard perspective, we can simply begin the evaluation directly within that voice record. So never tabbing in and out of different applications and locking everything down from a security perspective. This is a page layout. It doesn't necessarily need to look like this in your world. Ultimately, we could move the scorecard down here to the left or the right and so on and so forth, and all of that would be configured during the onboarding process with our application in terms of configuring this for your business. So we simply begin the evaluation. We can see that the agent is in this example is Susan, and we're simply going through a light scorecard. And as we're going through this, we're perhaps pausing and playing, and we're probably reviewing the voice transcript just to make sure we're not missing anything, highlighting key areas, and then asking and going through that evaluation process, all directly within the voice record. Did the agent give their name on the call? No. Again, did the customer appear dissatisfied while on the call with the agent? Yes. Did the agent navigate the screen correctly when working with the customer issue? Did the agent attempt to de-escalate the situation? Did the customer appreciate the agent's attempts to resolve the issue? And so on and so forth. Was the overall solution provided? No. Okay. On the back of this, the QA evaluator has the ability then to review the entire completed scorecard before they hit the submit button. And ultimately, that is how an evaluation is done, all within, I suppose, the voice object or the voice the voice record as such. Okay, very simply. On the back of that kind of evaluation there, we would ultimately be then creating perhaps a task for the agent, also sharing the completed scorecard. And if we enable in the application the ability for them to dispute that, a whole dispute process can be done. What we're really showing today is really the art of the possible of how you can run quality evaluations against against both sentiment analysis and obviously where speech to text has been implemented. So again, just in terms of questions, we are opening the door. Again, I know that presentation was quite light. Again, it's really just bringing you through the process of how the application operates, and feel free to drop any questions that you may have. I see quite a few questions that have come in, but I'll give it a few more moments until we get through those. For any questions that I may not be able to answer today, I will certainly take those away. But let's see what has popped up. So I have a couple of questions that have come in. Many thanks. Again, Brad, the first question's from yourself. Thank you for that, and thanks for taking the time to attend today. What edition of Leaptree Optimize do I need for this process to work? So again, I think most organizations are on this, but firstly, you will need the Lightning edition of Salesforce, and second to that, from an Optimize license perspective, you will need the enterprise licenses of Optimize. So we have the entry-level pricing, and we've 3 bands of pricing, but the enterprise pricing is required for this to work. Again, let me see another question that's come in from Lucy. What edition of Salesforce do I need? Again, Lightning edition, as I mentioned. You will need Service Cloud Voice. You will need Amazon Connect, or any other voice system. So again, it doesn't necessarily need to be Amazon Connect, just to throw that out, but as provided the voice calls are coming into Salesforce, the speech to text capability has been mirrored or brought into another custom object into Salesforce, or into Service Cloud, then we can ultimately allow Optimize to search that data. So thank you, Lucy. I have a question in from Heidi. Will this work if I only Amazon Connect or have an Azure or Cisco? Yes. So again, I just kind of captured that there. So thanks for that, Heidi. So yes, again, it doesn't really matter what provider or telephony platform that you have in place. I have a question in from Stephanie. Thanks, Stephanie. Will I need Salesforce technical resources to set this up? Yes, it will require technical resources to bring the voice transcripts ultimately into Salesforce, so Leaptree can access, I suppose, to mine some of that data. So again, the key thing is that we would need to have Einstein Conversation Insights enabled from a sentiment analysis perspective, and from a speech to text, that would be bringing the Amazon speech to text. I think they call it in their world, it can be Amazon Transcribe, bringing that information directly into Salesforce so we can see that data. Sebastian, hi there. I see your questions come in from you. Thank you. What sentiment is tied to words, tone, voice? Again, it's really on the back end of how you define that, Sebastian, and certainly we can take that away as we have further discussions with yourself. But again, it's really devised by what's important to you in terms of your search. Is it the words? Is it the tones? It can be anything. It can be down to stress in one's voice. All of that can be defined within the application itself, but it's really on the back end. What Leaptree Optimize is looking at is searching for that data, utilizing the power of, I suppose, Einstein, and bringing that data in. So once we can see that, then we can earmark what that score is, and then build the scorecard schedule around that and search criteria. So hopefully that helps answer, but we can certainly take that away again at another stage. Sebastian, another question from yourself. Thank you. Is there a limit to the number of questions per scorecard? No limit at all whatsoever. So it's an unlimited amount of questions on the scorecard that can be as granular or light, or certainly many organizations, we've seen scorecards with 5-10 questions. We've seen other scorecards with 50 questions. So that's entirely up to you and what works for your organization. And another question, could keywords be programmed? Yes. So again, this really leans back on Einstein conversational insights and defining what those keywords that you're looking for. From a chat transcript or a voice transcript perspective, it's really the speech to text. Optimize will mine the text transcript. And if we find keywords that are populating there, we're searching based on that. So hopefully that answers your question on that. So again, another question in from JC. Hi, JC. Great to connect with you again. Thanks for joining the call. We've been using the yes and no options within the scorecards. Is there an option to use a scaling score of 1 to 5? Yes, there is. Absolutely. There is a slider scale that you can use in your scorecards. We see many of our clients using simply the yes, no buttons, and button seems to be the preferred option from an efficiency point of view. So hopefully that answers your question. And anytime for those clients that have attended the call today, we're happy to jump on a call and flesh any of this out and discuss everything in more detail. Another question that's come in, is the tool able to analyze the reason for a call? Again, I probably need to know a little bit more information about that. Sebastian and team, thanks again for posing that question. There are a lot of things that we can take away from this and delve a little bit deeper, and I might bring certainly some of our technical resources to answer anything that I can answer myself right here today. But there is an ability for you to look at reason. Again, it's really understanding the process of how you've set up Einstein conversational insights and Service Cloud voice. So the more we know about that, the better. And again, keywords can be programmed. They're just saying, and thanks to my wonderful colleague here who's assisting me with some of the questions that have come in. But again, in terms of keywords being programmed, yes, that's defined again within your organization, So again, to wrap everything up, hopefully I've captured everything. If I haven't answered everyone's question, we will certainly take those away and we'll give more defined answers. And I will send that out along with the recording. In a nutshell, it's not really about Leaptree promoting ourselves overly today. It's just showing you the art of the possible of what Optimize does as an application when it's dealing with call records with Service Cloud Voice and Amazon Connect once we've brought that data into your Salesforce org. So why our clients have chosen us is because we are 100% native to Salesforce. It's tightly integrated with Service Cloud and Service Cloud Voice. Security is a key requirement. And again, our clients have chosen us because Leaptree as a business has no access to any of your sensitive data. So important to call that out. When we see organizations implementing our application, either replacing an existing QA application that's not native to Salesforce or replacing a manual process, we've ultimately seen the quality assessment productivity increase by at least 50%. And we're proud to say that. It's very easy and intuitive. I've only given you a bit of a flavor of what we can do with, I suppose, Service Cloud Voice and Amazon Connect. And as I mentioned, the art of the possible, but it's very simple for those that are using the application. I'm sure you can confirm that the application is highly intuitive. Again, we're very proud of our 5-star reviews on Salesforce. So I suppose to wrap things up, thank you very much for taking the time to join the presentation. I know it was light, but I'm happy to take one-to-one conversations with all of you if that is required to delve a little bit deeper into your exact requirements and how the application can provide a viable solution to meet your call QA needs. Feel free to drop me an email. And again, as I mentioned, the application and all of the recordings will be shared with you. Thanks again for your time. Have a great day.